Let me ask you a slightly uncomfortable question. If credit cards disappeared tomorrow, would your financial life actually improve? Most people instinctively say yes, because credit cards have become the convenient villain of modern personal finance. High interest rates, minimum payments, endless debt. It seems obvious, but here's something strange. Millions of people use credit cards every day and never pay a dollar in interest. At the same time, millions of others slowly sink deeper into debt using the exact same financial tool. Same banks, same interest rates, same payment systems. So something else must be going on. And the real explanation is less about finance and more about identity. Not your income, not your budgeting skills, but the person you believe you are when you spend money. Because credit cards don't create financial problems, they simply reveal your spending identity. Relatable scenario, modern life example. Let's imagine a completely ordinary situation. Emma is 29 and lives in Manchester. She works in marketing and earns about £42,000 a year. After taxes and deductions, her monthly take-home pay is roughly £2,650. Nothing extreme, just a typical early career professional salary. Her monthly expenses look something like this. Rent, £1,050. Utilities and internet, £180. Car payment, £260. Insurance, £90. Student loan, £180. Groceries, £320. Before anything else, Emma has already committed around £2,080 of her monthly income. That leaves her with roughly £570, which sounds manageable, and technically it is. But this is where real life enters the picture. Lifestyle reality. Modern middle-class life doesn't feel expensive because of one big purchase. It feels expensive because of small, identity-driven spending. A dinner with friends after work, £35. A new outfit for an upcoming event, £75. Spotify, Netflix, and 2 other subscriptions, £42. A quick weekend trip to London, £140. Coffee runs throughout the week, £30. None of these feel irresponsible. In fact, each one feels perfectly reasonable. Emma isn't buying luxury handbags. She's not spending wildly. She's just participating in what feels like normal modern life. And when the debit account starts looking a little tight, she simply uses the credit card. Because that's what credit cards are designed for. Convenience, flexibility, no friction. By the end of the month, Emma's credit card balance sits at around £820. But remember, she only had £570 of available cash, which means roughly $250 quietly rolls into next month. Now, here's the subtle part. Nothing about this feels like a crisis. Emma pays the minimum payment, maybe £35. The balance drops slightly. But then next month arrives, and the pattern repeats. A few dinners, a few subscriptions, a few lifestyle purchases. Another £200 gap. And slowly, the balance becomes £1,200, then £2,000, then maybe £3,500. Not because Emma is reckless, but because her spending identity assumes tomorrow's income will always clean up today's lifestyle. This is how most middle-class credit card debt actually forms. Not through disaster, not through emergencies, but through identity drift. Dollar-based math. Simple and calm. Let's break the math down very simply. Credit cards in the US and Europe commonly charge around 20% interest. If Emma carries a balance of £3,000, that means she's paying roughly £600 a year in interest. £600 might not sound life-changing, but something important is happening here. That £600 buys nothing. No experiences, no products, no memories. It's simply the cost of maintaining a lifestyle that was slightly ahead of income. Now imagine that pattern continuing for 10 years. £600 per year becomes £6,000. And that's assuming the balance never grows larger. Most people don't notice this happening because it doesn't arrive as a sudden shock. It arrives slowly, quietly, one statement at a time. So why do intelligent, responsible adults fall into this pattern? The answer has very little to do with financial knowledge and a lot to do with psychology. Humans don't naturally think about spending as numbers. We think about spending as identity signals. The dinner isn't just dinner. It's maintaining friendships. The gym membership isn't just exercise. It's being someone who takes care of themselves. The weekend trip isn't just travel. It's being someone who enjoys life. These identities matter. They shape how we see ourselves. And when a purchase protects our identity, it feels justified. Credit cards simply remove the final barrier. They allow us to preserve our identity today while moving the financial consequences into the future. Another scenario, United States example. Now imagine someone in the United States. Daniel is 31 and lives in Denver. He earns about $74,000 a year. After taxes and deductions, he takes home around $4,400 per month. His fixed costs look like this. Rent, $1,750. Car payment, $480. Insurance, $220. Student loan, $320. Groceries, $450. Utilities and internet, $210. Daniel has already committed about $3,430, leaving roughly $970. Again, manageable. But modern lifestyle spending fills that space quickly. A few restaurant meals, concert tickets, online shopping, streaming services, sports leagues. By the end of the month, Daniel's credit card statement reads $1,280. Another $300 rolls forward. The pattern repeats. Not irresponsibility, just identity. Long-term financial drag. Now, here's where things get interesting. Most people imagine debt leading to dramatic financial collapse, but the real effect is usually more subtle. Financial drag. Imagine Daniel keeps a credit card balance of around $7,000 for 10 years. At typical interest rates, he may pay roughly $10,000 to $12,000 in interest over that time. Again, nothing visible, nothing memorable, just a quiet financial leak. Money that could have gone towards investments, savings, or freedom. Instead, it quietly supports a lifestyle that was slightly ahead of income. Now here's the interesting part. Many financially comfortable people use credit cards constantly. Airline points, cash back, travel rewards. But their internal question is different. They don't ask, "Can I make the minimum payment?" They ask something simpler. If I had to pay for this in cash right now, would I still buy it? That question changes everything because it forces spending decisions to reconnect with reality instead of identity. The credit card becomes what it was originally designed for, a payment tool, not a lifestyle extension. This is why two people with identical incomes can end up in completely different financial positions. One person's identity says, "I deserve to live slightly ahead of my income." The other person's identity says, "I'm the type of person who always leaves margin." That difference seems small, but over 10 or 20 years, it compounds massively. Because financial stability is rarely built through dramatic decisions. It's built through quiet identity consistency. Reflection. Credit cards didn't create modern financial stress. They simply made spending frictionless. And when friction disappears, identity takes control. Your lifestyle expands until it matches the person you believe you should be, not the income you actually earn. Which brings us back to the original question. If credit cards disappeared tomorrow, would your financial life actually improve? For some people, yes. But for most people, the spending identity would simply find another outlet. Installment plans, buy now, pay later apps, car financing, lifestyle subscriptions. The tool changes, the identity stays the same. So the real financial skill isn't avoiding credit cards, and it's not extreme budgeting either. It's something quieter, becoming aware of the identity that shows up when you spend money. Are you the person who spends to maintain an image, or the person who quietly keeps lifestyle slightly below income? Because once that identity becomes clear, most financial decisions become surprisingly simple. Same credit card, same economy, same salary. Different identity, completely different financial future. If you enjoy calm, thoughtful conversations about money, psychology, and long-term financial thinking, consider subscribing to the channel.